I would challenge you to basically, argue that you could be an artist and an entrepreneur at the same time. I would challenge a marketing person to sell a product without even knowing what the specs are. Like, sell it based on how does it look, how does it make you feel when you use it. We try to offer TikTok videos for our clients, but we realize that the style on TikTok is so childish, right?
Hi guys, today I'm with Modular Mindset, Michael from Modular Mindset. I met Michael through a project a while back. We worked on a few projects together, and yeah, I think we just kept in touch later, and now we're doing this podcast. I'm going to be asking Michael some questions today on marketing, video production for marketing, and yeah. Michael, you want to tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah, so it's good to work together again, Chris, before you go back to the States. Go to the States. We had a pretty good time on the scooter project down in Nanto. I've been running this marketing agency for about 2.5 years now, and we found there was a big need for video production all of a sudden, and it hit us really fast. It was like suddenly we started out doing content writing, and then we started doing a lot of photo shoots. And then it was like one day the clients all needed video production for YouTube, for product videos. And so we quickly assembled a team, and then that's when you and I got in touch. And I think part of it was I was encouraging them to do video, encouraging the clients, because it seemed like it was something that was overlooked. And I think that a lot of clients felt that doing video production for tech products, it necessarily needs like millions of NT budget for that. Obviously, there are those big projects, but what I was trying to do is introduce a new style, which is something that is better than what you shoot on your phone, but not quite like a TV commercial, something that you could just kind of pump out in a couple of weeks and throw it on YouTube, throw it on social media channels.
Wait, before we go into details about this, can you tell us a little bit more about what you started doing, just a little bit about that, and then how you actually transitioned into video marketing, a little more detail on that part?
Yeah, so we started out doing press release writing for clients. I was actually a freelancer back then. That's like 2019 after the pandemic. I was working with Microsoft. I was writing their blog for case studies, like interviewing their customers. And that was a really cool project because I got to get really hands-on with Microsoft's customers. And I was like interviewing these old guys who were basically Microsoft products were directly helping them to do their jobs. And then we started doing photo shooting for bigger tech companies. Basically, somebody was like, hey, do you know any photographers? Because we have this product we want to shoot. And I was like, yeah, sure, I can put a team together. And then we did. And so I think video was the next evolution of running photo projects. And then, so here we are.
So how long has it been since you transitioned to video marketing?
That was about a year now. Last year, we were full on video stuff. You and I did like 2-3 projects. I forgot already.
Yeah, we did one video project and a few editing projects.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, that was big.
Yeah.
But I only helped out a little with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool that we got some experience with those big companies, and they're very demanding. They have very strict requirements. So what I was trying to push, which is this sort of like high quality video content, but not necessarily at the production level of TV commercials. It's still something that a lot of bigger tech companies are also trying to fit in their like marketing assets, because a lot of them were used to only publishing that very high quality content. And one thing that I think the whole video marketing trend is following right now is kind of like user-generated content is becoming really popular, right? So that's bad news for guys like you and I, right? Because it means that companies are just repurposing people's phone videos. because those phone videos are getting tons of views and tons of engagement because it's like, wow, it looks like a real product, right? There's no polish, there's no effects. So I feel like what we're trying to do is something that is a bridge between the user-generated content and those like expensive polished TV commercial content, and something in the middle that can kind of fit within those Taiwanese tech company marketing budgets. Do you feel like it's a threat to you as a well, let's introduce you properly. You're a professional video maker, filmmaker.
Well, I've been doing filmmaking for about 6-7 years. Seriously, I wouldn't say professionally. Seriously, and I've been freelancing the whole time, and I'm trying to transition into building my own agency, kind of like Michael, from freelance to agency building. And I've been learning a lot through talking to people, connecting with agency owners like Michael himself.
And you're a young guy. You're about 22.
I'm 21 right now.
21.
I'm finishing college, but this is my passion, so I think I'm sticking towards this route. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, are you going to position yourself as a filmmaker or a video maker?
Right.
These are all like different things that'll affect your career, right?
Right. I like filmmaking. I like holding the camera, shooting stuff, but I do like the idea of producing more, having something, delegating the tasks, and seeing everything pan out while I like. It's kind of the same thing. If you film something, you still see something pan out the way you film it. But if you're producing something, if you're an agency owner, you still see it grow. So they're just kind of different routes.
Yeah, I would. I think I did. I remember our conversation when I told you that. I would challenge you to basically, argue that you could be an artist and an entrepreneur at the same time, because I think, for example, a lot of good design is when art meets business, right? So, like, for example, if you look at Apple, which are obviously the pinnacle of anything marketing, their video content, their commercials are very artistic, and then they sell a ton of laptops. So I think that's something we're also trying to do, is like try to bring an artistic edge, because I've also seen a lot of tech companies release video content that looks very stiff, right? I remember there was a commercial from Samsung, and it came out from their like headquarter office in Korea, and you could tell it was just like put together very last minute, and then it showed up on Reddit and everybody was making fun of it. And I was like, man, like this company has so much money, but I think what they tried to do is scrape together something cheap, and now it's become like a joke, right? So I think you, as a young filmmaker, I would encourage you to try your best to kind of like bring the art into the design, into the business, and try to find that sweet spot. Yeah, I would challenge a marketing person to sell a product without even knowing what the specs are. Like, sell it based on how does it look, how does it make you feel when you use it, and then let's just forget about the specs and not even discuss the specs. And I think there was a famous Beats headphone commercial where they started listing all of the new specs because it was like the latest Beats headphone. And then in the middle of the commercial, the narrator is like, who cares about this stuff? And then all of the specs just like got wiped off the screen. And then it just showed a guy like walking down the street looking cool, listening to music. And then so that was like a very self-conscious ad, like, let's just not even talk about specs, because we all know that's not why you buy it.
Obviously, specs are still important, but you're saying how storytelling and making people feel part of it, making people feel special because they have this product, is also a big part of it, right? And when would be the times when you need to show the specs and the times when you don't necessarily need it, right?
Yeah, I think the specs are very good, obviously, if there's been a jump in the technology. So like a 20% improvement in anything, you better list that. The specs, people care about the specs when they've already bought the Apple Watch 1 and they're curious about the next Apple Watch. So like, I've been buying iPhones for a while. I may check out the specs to see if I want to hold on to mine or buy the next one. But I just feel like a lot of what I've seen is a lot of Taiwanese companies will start there with the specs.
Their new products, you mean?
Yeah, they'll
They're
start
brand new products.
right. They'll start like pushing those specs as a main. That's the KSP, the key selling point, and they'll kind of like overlook what's the whole story behind the brand. Yeah. So obviously, don't leave out the specs because there's people that are just looking out for that for sure. Like a lot of the tech geeks. I think you're probably one of them. Like when you buy camera gear, you check out the specs.
Right. Yeah.
A little only?
Yeah, a little. Because, specs are not always everything. It's more about how you use it, right? Specs can help on a certain level, but when you're starting out, when you're not at that crazy level, as far as cameras, then specs are not much of a difference.
Right.
It's more about what you produce, the story behind it. Because you've seen a lot of movies and films where they're shot with nothing, almost nothing, but because the story is really good, you will watch through the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so speaking of story, you have an award-winning film, which is why we hired you. You made it when you were 16, right?
Yeah, it was when I was 16, but it was with my old internship production company. I was the DP, director of photography, which means the videographer, cinematographer, whatever you want to call it. And screenplay, we wrote it together. I was the co-writer as well. Yeah, it was to raise awareness for elephants, but yeah.
Right. So I remember it was like a little boy adopts an elephant in Burma, and I don't know. It was very emotional.
Like going back to the spec stuff. That film was filmed. That film cost us around $800 to make in total.
Wow.
Like post-production, pre-production, all the camera rental, 2 days of shooting. It was like under $800, and it's just to prove that you don't need all the equipments. Yeah.
So when you're making a film like that, how do you go about the story part? Like, how do you form the story? Do you start with general outline and then fill in the details, or what's the process look like?
I think we try to find a problem first. We try to find a problem that people care about enough, and we try to build a correct character arc, right? The character needs to be really interesting, and when you combine that problem and the character and how the character tackles that problem, I think you get a really good story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like a problem, like the hero's journey. I think you can tie that directly into tech marketing as well. Like the hero cannot be the brand, which I think is a mistake that people make. The hero has to be the customer. So if you're the customer, you have a problem, and then the hero's journey always goes the same. Like if you watch Star Wars, if you watch whatever famous like movies, the hero has a problem. He meets a guide. The guide helps him to solve the problem or defeat the enemy, and then there's a new reality that he experiences. And so I feel like when you bring story into a tech product, the hero is a customer, and the product is the guide, right? So the sword. So for example, this is the sword that's going to help you kill the monster, and I think that's like a basic framework for any kind of marketing storytelling. I think.
Yeah.
Very geeky stuff. This is like level 12 geeky stuff.
Now, I think people can relate to this, honestly. Yeah, in whatever kind of content they produce, even user-generated content, TikTok content, short form, whatever it is, right?
You're on a TikTok, Chris?
TikTok, no, not really. But
no? Resisting?
No, I'm not. I think TikTok's a great platform for any company to be posting on right now. It's really, really good organic reach. Before it's gone, like people should get on it, right? It's even starting to slow down, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing. The traction is starting to slow down. It's getting harder and harder to grow, like explode on TikTok like before.
Yeah, we try to offer TikTok videos for our clients, but we realize that the style on TikTok is so childish, right? Like,
really,
you couldn't really produce very serious content on TikTok. And I mean, this is kind of stuff that my young intern team were telling me because they were all crazy about TikTok. But do you feel like you could produce like more serious content on TikTok, or does it have to follow that silly dancing theme?
No, I think people have the misconception about TikTok where it's all about dancing, these TikTokers, right?
Right.
It's not. It's really not. There are a lot of people that talks about resume building. There's just a guy just for resume building.
Yeah.
And all he talks about is serious resume building stuff, and people follow him. He has over 3-4 million followers, and there's so many different people like that, right? So I think serious stuff works, whatever it is. Like, the main thing is to niche down on whatever you want to talk about.
Right. Yeah, I think like people on TikTok are also like around my age these days. Like we can, I can watch dancing videos, and I could also watch like some serious content in the same session.
So you mentioned how companies are not, did you say companies are not too keen of making a TikTok account?
I think there's a lot of challenges because a lot of Taiwanese companies their headquarters are here, but their target audience is US or Europe. And as long as you're making TikTok content in Taiwan, the algorithm is going to push you only in Taiwan based on your IP.
Right.
So somebody in the target country needs to actually publish that content. And so this is something that we tried to figure out. Like, could we hire somebody in the middle of Kansas, let's say?
There's a way, because we started doing TikTok with a US SIM card, and we activated the account with a US SIM card, created TikTok, whatever, and then you can target US audience in Taiwan. So there is a way, but yeah. I want to cover a little bit on how you measure performance and ROI for the videos you produce for the companies you work with.
Yeah, so there's two ways to measure success. Some videos we've done, like I've watched how they publish those videos, and they just get tons of views and tons of engagement. Like, we did a monitor video it has like 60,000 views, and it's about a monitor. So it's not the sexiest topic, but it turns out that there was a lot of interest. It had a lot of cool features. So that's actually obviously very good. The video we worked on as I know, it basically helped them to get a lot of orders for their product. And so that becomes more like a B2B video, where the distribution channels use that video to understand the product, and then they make big orders. And so generally, a product or a brand needs to be seen 7 times before someone's ready to make a purchase, because it's about building that trust.
So 7 impressions would help them remember the product?
Yeah. So 7 times. It's just like me. I mean, I probably passed this coffee shop 7 times before I finally went inside to buy a coffee. I'm not going to name them. I actually support their competitor.
You don't get free sponsorship.
So yeah, my bad. Impressions are the goals. And I think it's the same with SEO, with blog articles, with video content, with photo content. You want to get those impressions, and then the thing is, it's very hard to measure the ROI, and it's even hard to measure impressions. Obviously, the big impression numbers are good, but it's still a very tricky thing to measure the ROI and to figure out like the customer journey. So I think a successful video is a video that gets a ton of impressions.
Okay. Can you market a bad product with very, very good advertising?
Well, I mean, that happens all the time, right? Like, look at McDonald's.
You think McDonald's is a bad product?
Well, how do you normally feel after you eat McDonald's?
You can't ask me, because I like fast food, and I would just say it's amazing.
No.
Ask them. How do you guys feel?
No, I remember I did a lecture at a university here on marketing, and I showed an example of like a great product with poor marketing, which is like, have you ever been to a night market stand that gets like, people love it and there's lines waiting for it, but if you look, there's no logo, there's no branding, it's kind of like, looks crummy. So that would be like a good product with poor marketing. And then you have great marketing with a terrible product, and I just think I go straight to McDonald's for that, because I feel like, it's so recognizable. McDonald's marketing is like, it's a textbook example of what you should do to create the brand recognition. Yeah, but every time I eat it, I'm just like, I regret it. I regret it an hour later.
But you still eat it?
Once every 2 months.
Okay.
So that's my limit. But
So good marketing works on bad products as well.
Absolutely. I mean, the good marketing is always going to be more important than, okay, so this is a big argument. A lot of people say the best marketing is a good product.
Mm-hmm.
Theoretically, that makes sense. But what I've seen just being alive on Earth is that a lot of bad products with great marketing can be successful. And I think it just depends what's your priority. Like, do you need, if you're talking about McDonald's, you need something fast, then it's a good product. But if you need something fast, cheap, and healthy, then it's a bad product. So it depends. I think there's a certain level of quality you have to reach before people are going to say, like, this is worth buying or not. But there's that quality range where it's like it could be medium quality and excellent marketing that would sell. But if it's, for example, low quality, excellent marketing, then people would probably call you out. So obviously, high quality, good marketing, and you can take over the world.
As far as the Taiwan market for tech companies in video production, where do you see this video production business, video production marketing going in the future? And what are the trends you see now that people are doing where it could be effective for tech companies to replicate?
Yeah, well, right now, I think the trend is going more and more towards user-generated content.
Which means?
Like repurposing the fans' content. We're seeing a lot of that. Influencer marketing is still going strong. So that's kind of like just asking YouTubers to make content for brands. But I do feel like this idea of a kind of like a mid-level production value videos, that's going to be a trend because that lets these companies scale their content. So, for example, they could release, instead of putting all their budget in one hero video, they could release 5 to 8 videos throughout the year using the same budget. And so the reason why we launched this product, this service, as the middle production level video content is because we saw that trend happening. Because I just remember seeing a couple of brands spend tons of money on a video and then they just released it and it got like minimal engagement, minimal impressions, and then they stopped until the next year. And I just thought to myself, they could have spread that budget out into like 5 to 8 videos, and then maybe one of those 5 to 8 videos would have gone viral, because it's always hard to predict what's going to go viral. So I think the trend right now is going towards releasing these kind of like 5 to 8 pretty good videos throughout the year that meet a minimum level of production value, but they don't break the budget. So I'm hoping to see more of that stuff come out. And I think that's good. That's good for the consumers to learn about products. That's good for the brands to efficiently use their budgets. And so everybody wins.
Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty much it.
All right.
Well, thank you for listening. This is Michael, and I'm Chris. This is Modular Mindset.
See you in the next one.
See you in the next one.